Economics N4. We are looking at the question paper of June 2025. So we are going to look at question 2 on that question paper. So all of question 2, the first question that we have reads, I explain the term economics. So we need to come up with a description of the term economics. But basically, when we are looking at the term economics, is basically the study of how societies use its limited resources. So, of course, the assumption is that we have limited resources that we have in the country or in the economy, but these resources have to meet unlimited ones. So we are saying it is a social science and that deals with the production and distribution and consumption of goods and services. So you'd see that economics focuses heavily on the four factors of production, which are land, labor, capital, and enterprise. So within that context, we also have a brief description that we have in terms of economics in our answer section, whereby we are saying economics is the study of how people choose to use limited means to satisfy unlimited wants. So that's the scenario that we have under economics. Then, in terms of the second question, it reads list four market structures. So, of course, we need to list four market structures. But of course, market structures basically these are economic frameworks that categorizes different types of markets based on the degree of competition and the size and number of firms. So that's the basis of coming up with market structures. That is the degree of competition and the size and number of firms. So in terms of our four market structures that we can have perfect competition. We can have also monopolistic markets. We can also have oligopoly market, monopoly market. So they differ in terms of the level of competition, and also they differ in terms of the number of firms that operate in those market structures. So we go to the next our next part of our question, which is now question 2.3. Name and explain four characteristics of human needs. Four classifications of human needs. So we need to come up with four classifications of human needs. So in terms of those classifications, we've got the physical needs, we've got the mental needs, we also have spiritual needs, social needs, sexual protection needs, we also have luxury needs. So these are the needs that we have. So then in terms of physical needs, these basic needs like food, shelter, clothing, etc. And also we've got mental needs. We are talking about need to widen knowledge, like education, library, books, magazines are also part of the mental needs. And because spiritual needs need to belong to a religion, such as going to church. We also have social needs, need to belong to a social group, friends and family. So this is just a need that is based on interactions that transpire in society that we live. Then also have safety to protection needs, a need for protection against dangers like crime, burglary, etc. Luxury needs a need that is not essential without which you could get by. So life goes on even if you do not have it. So these are luxury. So that's what we have. Then we go to the next part. Explain two types of collusion. Explain two types of collusion. So basically, collusion is an unlawful agreement. It's very unlawful. So we're saying unlawful agreement to limit competition and gain unfair advantage often we see it in fixing of prices, restricting supply or sharing confidential information. So those are the basis of collusion. So the behavior harms consumers by increasing prices and reducing product quality. So at the end of it, the negative that we can deduce from collusion is increase in prices and reduction in product quality. So two types of collusion that we can include, we have cartels as one of the collusions, and then we have also price leadership. So under cartel, we are saying when collusion occurs openly, it is referred to as a cartel. A cartel can be defined as an organization or oligopolistic businesses that comes into existence in the industry with the specific aim of forming a collective monopoly. Then we've got price leadership. This type of price determination is tacit. A firm who allows its intention to increase prices and hope its rivals will follow. So the price leader is usually the largest or dominant business in the industry. So basically, that's what they call price leadership. So with the next question is this, name and explain the four factors of production. We know the four factors of production. Of course, explanations are needed. We've got natural resources, which represents our land, the labor, capital, entrepreneurship. Then we've got the explanations that we have in terms of those factors of production. Under natural resources, these are free gifts of nature, everything that comes from nature and that can be used by humans. And the labor, physical or mental capability to create utilities, capital, human-made resources to further production. We've got entrepreneurship, coordinator of other three factors of production. So basically, the knowledge of operating businesses is other entrepreneurship. Then with that, the next question is what is production possibility curve? What we understand by a production possibility curve? But we see that production possibility curve, it is a graph that shows that the maximum combination of two goods in an economy or two goods that an economy can produce are given its limited resources or technology. So the curve illustrates the concept of scarcity, also the concept of trade-offs, concept of opportunity cost and efficiency. It also shows the concept that producing more of one good means producing less of the other good. So that is depicted on the production possibility curve, representing the trade-off involved using when using scarce resources. So that's the scenario that we have. So a typical production possibility curve is a curve that bows outwards. It bows outwards in terms of its shape. So the brief description that we have production possibility curve in our answer section. You see that this is the description that we have, whereby production possibility curve shows the defined combination of products that can be produced with the available resources and the available production techniques, and it assumes that all resources are fully utilized. So that's the PPC. Then, of course, we also have the next term, which is that allocative efficiency and productive efficiency. So allocative efficiency basically means producers produce according to the taste and preference of consumers. It produces optimally productive. It produces optimally. So when now we are looking at productive efficiency, now means producer produces at the lowest possible cost and all resources are used effectively. So in that case, when producing at the lowest possible cost, that is being efficient. So on the next part, we have got productive inefficiency and scarcity. So in terms of productive inefficiency, we are saying it means resources are not used optimally and costs are not reduced. And then scarcity means shortage of production factors, of course. That's what we have on that part. Then, of course, on the next question, 2.6.4, explain why it is not possible to produce at the point of scarcity from the production possibility curve. So remember, our production possibility curve are typical shape that we have, or typical curve that we have in terms of the production possibility curve will be a curve that bows outwards like this. So this represents our PPC. Of course, our vertical axis, we've got a good, let's say this good A and good B, and this will be our point of origin. So the question is saying, why is it not possible to produce any point of scarcity from the production possibility curve? So the point that is being referred to is a point at this point. Let's say this is our point E. So why is it not possible to produce it? It's because the resources that we have in the economy can only produce to the maximum it would be along the curve. Let's say we have got point F here and point G. So up to point F and G on the curve is at the maximum production using the resources that are there in the economy. Remember, we are saying the resources are limited. So E now represents scarcity. We are saying we cannot produce at E because we do not have the capability to produce. Our production capacities cannot produce at point E. We can only produce along or inside the curve. So that's the scenario that we have. So within that context, the explanation that we have is scarcity means factors of production are scarce. We cannot produce if we do not have resources to produce. Hence, it is impossible at that point. So that's the explanation that we have on that one. Then 2.6.5, which is the last one, why could be a reason for inefficiency? Inefficiency, basically, we are saying we are not producing at maximum. Like on the PPC, we said endpoint that is inside the curve, like we have got point H at this point, which means at point producing at point H represents inefficiency, or any point that is inside the curve represents inefficiency, because we are saying with the resources that are there, if we use them efficiently, we produce maximally, we produce along the curve. So it means when we produce inside the curve, we are producing less. So we have wasted, so it represents inefficiency. So inefficiency represents wastages. So basically, that's what we have. We have not produced optimally. So what we are saying is, if available resources are not fully utilized, that's why we have such a scenario of inefficiency, which is just a brief explanation on that one. So this becomes the last part that we have because of terms of our question 2. So thank you for listening, and hopefully the video was helpful. And please, let's not forget to subscribe and share to our channel and share the link to our colleagues who are doing economics info. As for this video, I'm signing out. Let's meet again in the next video.